Do you go to movie theaters for magic? To laugh, to cry, to care? Because heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Do you love dazzling images on a huge silver...
Okay. You are no Nicole Kidman. But
No.
this week, we're going to the movies.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of Channeling Hallmark, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us feel warm and cozy, like you do when you have a bowl of Captain Crunch while watching Saturday morning cartoons. Is that still a thing?
You know, I prefer Lucky Charms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like the juxtaposition of like the marshmallows with the crunch. But, you know, Captain Crunch always like it rubbed the top of my mouth. It really like made me bleed.
A lot of the best breakfast cereals I feel like are actually hazardous to eat. Mm-hmm. But anyways, we're your hosts, Dylan Cashbaugh.
And Keetin Markey. And today we're talking to Mike Dris, a cinephile and assistant director on movies and TV shows. We'll also be reviewing a classic film from our childhood that's all about making movies. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
But before we get to that, Keetin, do we have some tea we're drinking today?
Ooh, we have some tea. This is called mango Ceylon tea. And fun fact, Ceylon was actually the name used for the region of Sri Lanka back in the day. So this is technically mango Sri Lanka tea that comes from that area. And that is why it's called mango Ceylon tea. But let's try it really quick. Oh, that was a good one. Ooh, this is good. Wow. What a mellow black tea with a slight hint of mango.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like this is a type of tea I haven't had much of in my life because I've never actually known how to pronounce Ceylon tea. So I was always like hesitant to order it because, you know, I don't want to like say it wrong and mess things up. And I feel like maybe I let my fears get in the way of experience happiness.
You know what? You shouldn't let that happen anymore. I don't know. This is just, it's very, very lovely. And we were debating because the Ceylon is spelled Ceylon. So we were like, is it Ceylon? Is it Keelan? What is it? But it's Ceylon. And it is the former name of the region of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, but it's a really pleasant, it is a black tea, you said?
It is. It's a black tea, so there is caffeine in it.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of Darjeeling tea a little bit.
Ooh,
it's very
okay.
mellow, but has a sweetness to it.
I mean, the mango adds a nice little bright and fruitiness to it that I think, this is a nice tea. It's a good.
I know.
It's like a late morning that we're recording this when you don't really want that thing that's going to like, you know, smack you in the mouth and really wake you up. You just want something that's like, oh yeah, a little pick-me-up, a little bit of flavor. It's nice for that.
And after a day of being at the Renaissance Fair, you need a midday pick-me-up.
That is true.
Well, you know, we've tried this episode's tea. You want to talk a little bit of hot cocoa?
Yeah, I guess you may have already teased it because my hot cocoa this week is that we went to the Ren Fair for the first time yesterday. I know we spent...
First time this year.
Sorry, yes. First time of the year, went to the Ren Fair yesterday. And I know we obviously spent all of last week talking about the Ren Fair, so I don't need to get into too many details. But let me just say that it was a really nice day because it was maybe the coolest Ren Fair day I think we've ever been to in a lot of ways. Like, didn't feel overwhelmingly hot. Lots of great costumes. It was the cottagecore weekend, so everybody was like kind of warm and cozy, nice and hobbity, lots of mushrooms running around. So it's just a really fun, welcoming, nice day, even though there were no gyros this year.
That was like a heartbreak. We go and you like get excited for the fair food, right? And I'm like, okay, Dylan, I'm going to go get us the gyros that we found last year and we were so in love with. And I went to go find the gyro line and it was non-existent and it was a crushing blow.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have even brought it up because honestly, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to talk about the disappointment that I felt there. But still, lovely day at Ren Fair. Great jousting, great friends, great time.
Yeah.
Keetin, do you have some hot cocoa this week?
I do have some hot cocoa. It's a little bit of I guess a bittersweet hot cocoa, but what hot cocoa is better if it's not bittersweet, you know? I don't like it too sweet when I'm drinking my hot cocoa. But this week was actually, I wrapped season 3 of the Jennifer Hudson Show. Ooh. And whenever you wrap a show that you've been, I mean, there's kind of this saying that we have on the show that once the train takes off, which means once production starts and you're starting to film, you jump on, you hang on for dear life, and it just goes. It doesn't stop. And then when it's all over and the train finally does stop, it's kind of like this weird whirlwind of emotions because of all the time and like work and effort you put into it. You're you're so happy it's over, but then like also like your daily life is changing and you're not going to see these same people every single day for a while. And yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a season. It's been a lot of emotions, and I'm grateful for 3 seasons with them. And, you know, I'm really proud of everything that I did this year, and got to work with some really, really cool people and cool segments that I'll be posting about once they air. And but yeah, it's always such a joy to work with somebody that you've been a fan of since you were young, aka Miss Jen Hudson. And so I'm proud. I feel warm and fuzzy about it, but I'm also like a little happy it's done for a bit. I have a little summer vacation, and I'm a little sad that it's done, but you know, that's when you know you put your heart into it. So
Yeah.
that's my hot cocoa for this week.
I think that's a good one.
Thanks.
Do you want to talk about this week's movie?
You know what? I would love to. So this week, we will be reviewing a movie that actually gave me a lot of fear as a child, but I was willing to revisit it. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was made in 1988. When a beloved cartoon rabbit is accused of murder, it's up to a hard-boiled detective to solve the case. But in a world where cartoons and reality are blended together, will the detective's anti-toon prejudice get in the way of saving an innocent rabbit?
This Robert Zemeckis-directed film stars Bob Hoskins as the detective and Charles Fleischer as the voice of the iconic Roger Rabbit. It also includes cameos from Porky Pig, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Donald Duck, Goofy, and so many other characters that Space Jam 2 is jealous. But this movie creates this world of cartoons mixed with the real world in a way that somehow, 36 years after its release, still feels impressive and innovative. But Keetin, to start this conversation, I want to rewind as close to 36 years ago as possible. Do you remember when you first saw this movie and what you first thought of it?
I think I do. I think I specifically watched this movie at my grandpa's house. My grandpa used to have his whole office was covered in VHS tapes, and we could go up and it was like this beautiful VHS tape movie library. We could just pick one, right? And I think I initially thought, oh, this is a cartoon, right? Like this is going to be fun. And I was initially very confused that people were there too. And you know, there's a familiarity with kind of like, because that opening scene is very Looney Tunes-esque, although very, very dramatic. And then the baby starts talking to this angry old man voice, and you're just like, what's happening? But I also remember the villain and the dip.
Yep.
Scarred me. And I had like a visceral reaction when rewatching it. I was like, oh my God, like this is so sad. And why would you want to kill our tunes? And yeah, it was really dark and it really scared me. And I remember I watched it once trying to feel like a big kid. And it's one of those movies that I remember how much it scared me. Yeah. And the villain specifically scared me.
See, I also, maybe this is just us failing our listeners because we are just too similar of people, because that's essentially exactly my early memory of it too, is literally watching them at my grandparents who had a great VHS collection and seeing, oh, cartoons, this is kind of, and it is a kid's movie. It is, there's very little in it that isn't kid friendly, except maybe some like, you know, Jessica Rabbit related jokes and things, but it's so fun for kids. And I know, like, I don't know how old I was when I first saw this. It came out in 88. I was born in 88. But it probably was my first like film noir movie that I saw. And one thing that I love about it is I feel like the best kind of parodies of a genre tend to be effective as parodies while also being a really good example of that genre. And to me, this is a great example of your classic detective noir movie where, you know, your lead detective is a little down on his luck and, to be honest, may not even be the best at his job, but kind of stumbles into the situation and stumbles his way to usually solving it eventually in the end, despite what may be a little bit of a ineptitude.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that just on a rewatch of this movie is, yeah, the story is great. The story is very tight. It is told in a classic film noir way, and like accessible to children as well as very fun for adults. And I wonder if this might have been one of the first movies that really kind of pushed that line. Like, I always think of Shrek as that kind of first, you know, and Shrek is basically a panto, which we will probably do an episode about in the future. But that first kind of movie that I remember that I enjoyed just as much as my parents, that wasn't essentially like a Disney classic musical because it just had a lot of adult jokes. We should revisit Shrek on this podcast.
We should, but that's a future us.
That's a future us. What kind of kept blowing my mind on a rewatch of this is how did they film this? How did they do this? Because truly, like the blending of the hand-drawn cartoons with the live action actors and in a real world just blew my mind still. And I really wish there was a documentary or something that was all behind the scenes of, you know, what were they acting with? What hands were grabbing? Was everybody just in a green suit? Because I think of when they film via like VFX heavy movies now, it's like everything's just on a green stage, everybody's in green suits, and it's all basically done on a computer after. But they didn't have that then. So how did they do this?
I don't know if that documentary exists, but we should find it. That would be really fun.
Or make it.
But I also do want to touch on something that you kind of already alluded to, which is the villain, played by Christopher Lloyd, who it seems like he can do anything because he does play the most amazingly likable, belovable
Belovable. I do like the word belovable. That's gonna be
the most belovable characters, like Uncle Fester and, you know, in Back to the Future. Like, you know, he is this great lovable guy, but in this he's so creepy, and he does this incredible job of, like, from the moment you see him, he doesn't really feel human. Like, he does a really good job of essentially portraying a cartoon in a human suit that is kind of trying
alert.
to. Oh, sorry. It's a 36-year-old movie. The movie is older than I am.
I did forget about that though.
Oh, really?
That was a shock to me when we watched it. I was like, oh, it was him. Okay, that makes sense. Like it was like kind of this deep.
Wait, how long do you think it had been since you actually watched this movie?
I truly think it scarred me so much, maybe as a kid, and like, you know, maybe it was on like TV and I caught like bits and pieces of it, but like sitting down watching it from start to finish, I truly cannot tell you, because again, and who knows, when I watched it as a kid, I might have just totally chickened out and bailed because it scared me so much.
Well, especially at the end when he goes full tune.
That was in the eye. That, and how did they do that? How did they do that? But yeah, no, I Christopher, do you know who he reminded me of? And I think this is another reason why probably as soon as that Stranger Danger came on the screen, it reminded me of the villain, or who maybe he's not the villain, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, who like the creepy guy,
Slugworth.
The Slugworth. He reminded me of Slugworth immediately. Yeah. And I remember Slugworth because I saw that movie when I was so young, and he scared me. But and Christopher Lloyd had that kind of same like just creepy man in the shadows kind of vibe about him. And I was like, oh, I don't trust that thing he's doing. Like, I hate him. I even looked at you and I go, is that Doc?
Yep.
And you're like, yep. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, and I guess I probably I know I have seen this movie in the last 10 years, and I also watched it like numerous times throughout my childhood. So this is a movie I'm very familiar with, and, you know, rewatching it, the only thing that really surprised me was just how well it held up. I mean, 36 years later, the effects are good. The humor is good. The blending between the two worlds is so effective that I love it.
Also, just the jokes about Los Angeles. And I think now that we've lived in LA for so long and knowing the history, I mean, there was this one where he was just like, oh, you don't have a car? Why do I need a car? We have the best, public transportation in the country. And I'm like, yeah, LA did used to have really great public transportation.
This is basically really what happened is automakers bought out the public transpo companies, ran them into the ground, and built freeways. Yeah. I guess I don't know if it was automakers or gas companies or a little bit of both.
It's probably a little bit of both.
Big car conspiracy. That's what it is.
Yeah, and now we're stuck with high gas prices and having to drive so far. But I digress. LA is great, but it was cool to kind of see it in this little time capsule of the 40s before kind of things really changed here. But So our interview, Mike Dris, who you guys will hear a little bit more from once we finish this review, we were going back and forth of like, what's a movie about making movies that makes us feel warm and fuzzy? And so we had thrown out things like, La La Land, and I was like, oh, that's more about LA, not about making movies. We were going through all these things, and then we asked Dris, and Dris was like, why don't you guys do Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And we're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So we have to thank him and give him credit for doing this movie. But it also, I don't think I thought of that because initially, this is not a very warm and fuzzy movie in my memory.
Well, if you were traumatized by Christopher Lloyd as a child, I can understand that. To me, yes, that was scary. But it does also have so many fun, humorous elements as well as really great lines, character moments, iconic parts of LA and film history in it that I like this movie.
No, I do too. And like I even think about the fact that, even though I might not have seen this or it had traumatized me as much as it did, Jessica Rabbit and Roger Rabbit, I mean, we've been them for Halloween before. Like they're just such a staple of, I think, millennial culture. Like everybody knows who they are that's our age. Like whether you've seen the movie or not. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a Bugs Bunny. It's kind of like a Mickey Mouse. And it's so funny that those characters were created for this film and have stood the test of time, even being almost like spoofs of those traditional cartoons that were created in the early 40s.
I will say I had completely forgotten that we dressed up as them for Halloween until you said that. Which just shows how many amazing Halloween costumes we've had.
Yeah, we'll share some of those pictures. I also shout out, because as somebody who's now worked in TV for, oh my God, like almost 20 years now. Oh my God. Yeah. So I think one of the things that you don't realize until you kind of really get deep into TV, and I've gotten to learn a lot about this year, working with different really cool IPs like Harry Potter, like Looney Tunes or Disney or anything like that, you realize how protective each of these kind of entities are of their IP, and IP being intellectual property. So like a Mickey Mouse character, a Bugs Bunny character, and to be able to see and also hear the kind of commentary on like, oh, Disney lent us some characters from Fantasia and Dumbo, and that jump scare still got me this time when Dumbo just appears outside the window. But it was so wild because I don't think you'd ever see this type of mix of IPs again, because it's just far too expensive and people are far too protective of allowing a Donald Duck doing a piano off with Daffy Duck. Like, iconic, but like you're never gonna see that again these days because Disney and Looney Tunes will not like let that happen. And so it's so funny too that they probably had to get permission from Disney to make this movie, but in the end we watched this on Disney Plus because Disney Plus owns it now again.
All right, so we have talked about it quite a bit.
Yes.
Keetin, do you have a marshmallow rating you want to share?
So I said when we decided to watch this, I don't think it's a very channeling Hallmark-esque movie, especially for me. And I stand by that. Ooh. I think it's a great film. I really enjoyed revisiting it. But in terms of a marshmallow rating, mine's going to be fairly low. There are marshmallows given because of nostalgia, but it still creeped me out and felt really dark, as I think most film noirs just inherently do. They're dark films of not trusting each other. They're not warm and fuzzy. So I'm going to give this a 5.
Oh.
On my marshmallow scale.
I'm going to be honest, that's higher than I was expecting from you.
I thought about 4, but then I just thought about us dressing up like Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit. And
that's what did it.
No, because their love story is also super sweet too. And I also like the arc of our detective. He really grows in this. And also you telling me that's Smee from Hook, and Hook is one of my favorite movies. I was like, ah! So I'll give it 5 marshmallows.
All right, well, this was something that I watched numerous times as a child, where I know that there were animated characters that I saw for the first time in this movie that I probably later saw. Like, I bet I watched this movie before I saw Fantasia. And I also am someone who loves film noir enough that I took a film noir class in college, and I have books about film noir. So this is really like combining a lot of things that I love. Oh, and I love animation. I almost tried to get into that as a career. So this it's hard for me to not just love this movie. Yeah, I'm gonna give it 9 marshmallows.
Who are
This is
you?
very warm and fuzzy for me. I
Wow.
could turn this on any day and watch any scene from it, and I know I'm going to smile and have a good time. So 9 marshmallows. This is 2 episodes in a row where we've had pretty notable disagreements about a movie.
There was so much death in this.
That's true.
Like,
I
there's
agree.
so
Actually,
much
I
death.
don't remember. I did not remember how much death is in this movie. Both humans and
There
tunes.
are also
Lots of death.
cartoon bullets that
Yeah,
are like,
It's still that is a film noir thing.
and photos of Jessica Rabbit playing patty cake with
But-
another man.
And that's hilarious because they're literally playing patty cake. That's not a euphemism. But you know what? I think to find warm and cozy in something that is dark and makes you think in other ways is something that our guest, Mike Dris, I think is all about. So do you want to get to our interview with Mike?
Yes, stay tuned because we're going to have an incredible conversation with our friend, cinephile, and AD assistant director, Mike Dris.
Stay with us.
Our interview today is with Mike Dris, who is probably the biggest cinephile we know and has been working in the television industry for over the last decade on projects like Spider Noir, Candy Cane Lane, and Good Girls. He's a member of the DGA and can most often be found on the AD team greeting the crew with a smile, keeping morale up with great one-liners, and making sure everyone is where they need to be when they need to be there. So Dris, what about film and TV made you want to move to this crazy town and to pursue a job in the movies?
Wow, greeting people with a smile. No one's ever said that about me. Thank you so much for for pretending. That's fantastic. Although you didn't include our credit that we shot all together, which
Oh my God, our
would be
Star
important.
Wars
Star
film.
Wars film.
Yeah.
So you guys
It's,
saw how
it's
much
clearly the best thing he's
you
worked
saw how
on,
much
too.
I smile on set. What made me like movies and TV? Well, there's this little alien named E.T. that showed up in my life one day. No, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's like, it's an escape. There's a reason that all of us psychos are out here or wherever, in New York or London or anywhere where they make stuff. And it just feels like, you get to escape. It's like reading a book, but way easier, visually exciting. It's just, there's a whole plethora, like music. I love music. So movies, there's a great description of it. I feel like from film school or somewhere that I picked up that just like movies have all art forms in one, like, they have painting, they have sound, they have sculpture, it's like everything is in that. So it's really like a catch-all. And I just, fell in love with like, Disney movies and, my boy E.T. and like this, there's this like this very sad movie called Fluke, Disney movie.
Oh my God, Fluke has wrecked me as a child.
So if you want to know about me as a
God.
kid, I watched Fluke a lot.
Oh my
and
God,
E.T.
so did I.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
don't even
God.
know what fluke is,
Fluke?
but you both have very strong reactions to that.
It was like
I don't know if it qualifies for this
It was
podcast.
Marley and Me before Marley and Me was Marley and Me. It was like, it's a dog movie. It's a movie about a dad. It's just, it will wreck you. It will wreck you.
Yeah. When you guys do Fluke, hit me up. I'll just send a voice note if anything. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the gist of it. And then I went to film school at UCF in Orlando, Florida. And when I graduated, I got offered a job as a bouncer at a club in Orlando. So
It's
I
just because you're
said,
so tall.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not that guy. Even though it's probably because all that smiling I was doing. But I was like, I probably should leave this down. And I have an aunt and uncle that live in California as well, or in LA. So I stayed in their like spare room for a while and gave it a shot out here, and then started, worked as an intern on some certain stuff as like for a reality company, and then kind of worked my way onto set where I ended up as a set PA and went from there.
Yeah.
The hit show Teen Wolf also wasn't mentioned, which is probably
Oh, yes.
Mike, you have
Some
too many.
people's-
You have too many credits. You
Yeah.
just look at your IMDb.
I'm
There's
just gonna-
too much to go
I'm
through.
gonna read them
We're not
all.
naming every single movie you've worked on.
I think if the more of your like like TV shows and movies you can name, well, like
I'm gonna name drop
I want
for
you to name
myself.
drop so hard.
Because I haven't worked a lot recently, so I just have to
Remind
live
yourself.
on memories. Yeah.
No, but it's like that's the other thing about this industry that people just I don't think understand who might not be in this industry. Since COVID, it has been a really rough time for film and TV, especially people who work just kind of on the crews. It's been a tough time because we had COVID where everything got shut down and filming was very difficult. Then we had the strikes, the writer's strike and then the actor's strike. And then we had the fires in California and nobody wants to come to California to film. So it's been hard. But we all joined this industry for a certain reason because of the magic of movie making. And hopefully it comes back.
Yeah. And don't forget AI. That's a
I forgot
fun
about
piece of the
Wait,
puzzle.
this is a warm and cozy podcast. We don't want to get into AI. That's not warm and cozy for any of us.
So, Dris, what exactly does an AD do?
Speaking of escapism, yeah. An assistant director does lots of jobs on a set. There's different roles. The main person in charge of a set is not the director, although we'll let them believe that they are. It's usually the first AD because they have a plan about the day. So they go through the script, they'll break down everything, make a schedule, arranging it for certain reasons. Like we only have this location on these 3 days, even though all the scenes are different days of the script. So they break down the script ahead of time. They have, it's called a strip board, which is not as dirty as it sounds. But so first ADs like have a huge knowledge of the movie or show in total about what's coming up or what do we need to pick up. So that's basically what a first AD does. They run the set. They, whatever the director wants, they have to be like, 2 to 10 steps ahead to be ready for that. And also whatever the DP wants. There's the key second AD, which executes those shooting schedules and one-liners that the first AD makes and makes the call sheets for each day so everyone knows what to do if they read it, which they definitely do. And then second is basically the right-hand person of the first AD, kind of setting background, the main point person for the set PAs. And they're the ones that, in theory, all the crew, like the department heads, the best boys, would come to with issues because the first AD is busy with the director and DP and all the other people that in the cast. So the second is kind of the catch-all for everyone else, kind of below the line duties. And then you have sometimes a base camp AD who, gets everyone there, through hair and makeup, gets their breakfast, gets their lunch, gets them to set when they're called for.
So the AD team, which you are a part of, kind of just makes everything really happen. The magic would not happen without
Yeah, and a lot of people don't enjoy our company because they're creatives, and in theory we are too, but our goal is to get the first shot off at a certain time, usually an hour after crew call. And it takes motivation sometimes. It takes, problem solving, thinking ahead, questioning things that are happening to understand how to do them better. So it's like it's a hard balance between like managing these creative people and like executing, and at the same time trusting your crew to do what we've already all planned to do, and like not ride people unnecessarily, be polite on set. There's a whole different generation of ADs, it seems, that really focus on positivity, trying to be positive even in these stressful situations, because at the end of the day, it is just a movie or TV show. As much as we love them, there's no reason to, in theory, yell at people or get mad at people or hold grudges. And that's just a evolution of communication that I think a lot of ADs nowadays have embraced, that we didn't necessarily come up with that grace. But yeah, so that, we're kind of pushing everything forward in a way that hopefully the crew can appreciate and respect. But, it's a challenge. It's a stressful thing making a movie or a TV show, because time is limited and you're there for so long, even though time's limited, that, people get tired. You got to learn how to deal with sleep deprivation and managing personalities and learning when to just accept that someone thinks you're wrong and say, okay, I'll fix it. Like those little things.
So on film and TV shows, you work long hours. Sometimes they're stressful. Sometimes there's people that might be reasonably grumpy to work with.
A lot of egos.
But you keep coming back. What is it about working on them that does make you keep coming back? I guess presumably other than the paycheck.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about unions. We should have unions. They're great. When you can be in one, they help you make money and survive and have health insurance.
I wish producers had unions.
I mean, it's so insane. There's so many different issues that we'll definitely talk about in this Feel Good podcast.
Oh, yes.
That I won't bring up at all. I keep coming back. I mean, because like when you're at when you're on set, when you're at monitor, like watching what's happening and you've actually rolled and you're like seeing it happen, it's just kind of like a transportative, is that a word? It's a cool experience.
Yes.
You know, I'm a second primarily, or additional second on set. So I'm setting a lot of background or working with, you know, the team to set background. And just like, that's like the one avenue of an AD that you see on screen. So you can actually feel like you've made an impact besides like, oh, we broke for lunch on time. Remember, like when, like that's super exciting. When you see like the thing you set that looks cool and adds to the story, you know, it's like just very enthralling, I would say. And it's just one thing I love is it's different every day, for better or worse. Even if you're on stage doing, you know, the scenes will be different. Everyone's mood will be different. There's just like 100 million things to consider each day. And I like kind of puzzles, and I like dealing with people. I like dealing with creatives. I like helping someone's creative vision kind of come forward. And that's kind of the primary reason I found myself wanting to be an AD, because I love movies, but I don't see myself like in the director's chair picking whatever color a couch should be. I'm just presenting the colors for the director to do, or like think ahead to help them execute their vision. So that's kind of what makes me excited to go back every day. Most days, I should say.
Most days, yeah. You've obviously worked in this industry now for 10 years. You've worked on a lot of different types of shows. Do you have any kind of favorite projects that you've worked on, funny stories, anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, there's a lot that I have fun with. It's like most of like the traumatic experiences are what stay with you. I mean, one of my favorites is, kind of goes back to the other question before. It's like, I was a DGA trainee so my first assignment as a trainee, which is this whole program that DGA does, they put you on shows that take trainees so you can get your days and join the union. The first show I did was Shameless, and, you know, huge William H. Macy fan. So just being on set with like near him was cool. And it was really that show when I like read the sides that day, which is, I don't know, the mini version of the script for whatever you're shooting that day. I read the sides to be ready. Then I'm like there watching, you know, the whole cast, but also, you know, primarily William H. Macy's scene. And just to see, like read what I read of the script and be like, okay, that's cool. And then see him perform it and like see him make it come to life is like, it's just like a super amazing experience that I think of frequently to like kind of remind myself like why I like doing this, because that's just a really fun thing to see someone transform, you know, these words into these exciting moments. And also related to Shameless, which is equally cool. There's like a sex scene in the show, and they needed the walls to bang, so I got to be on the other side of the wall, like hitting this painting. So it's a dichotomy of activities on set. Watching beautiful words come to life, and then watching a wall come to life.
Yeah. Amazing. So, you know, a lot of people consider the reason they like a movie is because it's an escape, or a TV show because it's an escape. What about the experience of watching movies appeals to you the most? What about that brings you joy?
Yeah, I think a big part I would say is like getting to live an experience that you wouldn't have otherwise, you know, like I'm probably never going to be a 1950s French private investigator, you know, or rob a bank, or like, I mean, a bank could be cool. But like,
We'll see how desperate we
you know,
get.
I'm probably not going to go to space. I'm probably not going to get to hang out with a xenomorph. Like all these unique experiences that you would never have that you can then live vicariously through movies is, you know, I would say overall a positive. You know, there's definitely some drawbacks to like escaping all the time, but that's kind of the thing that brings me in. And just to see how someone executes telling a story and does it work or not, like, I'm a fan of living in these different places. Like I said, it's kind of like a book, but way easier. So I get to like just jump around and live these different experiences, or like at least see of them or learn about them. Like, I'm usually always surprised by, even if a movie I don't find that I really like a lot, there's usually like, I would say 99% of the time, like one thing I will get out of something that I feel like, oh, that's a cool idea that I hadn't thought of or hadn't seen, or just like there's usually always something unique in whatever you're watching.
You just reminded me, we haven't heard your review of Paddington 3, a movie that we have covered on this podcast. Dris, as someone who loves the other two Paddingtons just as much as we do, what was your take on Paddington 3?
It has been a while. I remember that I liked it overall.
For those listening, Mike is now probably pulling up his Letterboxd account because he's quite active on Letterboxd. Mike, where can people follow you on Letterboxd?
You know, at MP Dris, DRIS.
There you go.
Did I write anything? I gave it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
I hearted it, and I wrote a quote: "The Lord works in suspicious ways," because I liked that quote from Olivia Colman's character.
Yes, she was incredible in it.
Mike, I know you are someone that really enjoys seeing movies in theaters. What is it about watching a movie in a theater versus at home that you like?
I like the communal aspect. I feel like one thing I've learned about myself recently is that I tend to put off watching something that I think that someone else would enjoy also, and I want to watch it with them because I just like that communal experience of it. So going to the theater, you get to cheat and get that with a bunch of strangers. So I've been, one thing I'm really working on while I'm unemployed is watching things alone. It's really healthy and good. But just this idea of like enjoying it on my own, and then, I'll talk about it to somebody else later, but not that I have to sit down with somebody else and watch it. So it's kind of freeing to have your own schedule. And I'm a big proponent of pause the movie when you get tired and just go to bed, which I know might be weird, but life is short. Life's hard. If I'm watching like a 3-hour movie and I want to go to bed, I'm just going to pause it and go home. Whereas like in a theater, you got to stay.
Yeah.
You got to wake the fuck up.
I mean, you could take a nap in a
You
theater
got to get that cherry Coke, and you got to get that caffeine in you.
I do love a cherry Coke. Yeah.
It's like one of the best. Like cherry Coke and popcorn, like that to me in a movie theater. If I drank soda, I don't really drink soda anymore, but that's my go-to, cherry Coke.
Do you guys put like the candies in the popcorn?
No, not really. Oh, we've watched. That's the thing. Mike will
watched you do this, you animal.
No, but
he'll put the hot dogs in the popcorn too. It's really weird.
Anything.
I was like, Dris found out that I had never seen The Godfather or The Godfather Part 2 or Part 3 for that matter.
Still waiting on 3.
But Dris then organized a group of people to get together and watch Godfather Part 1 and Part 2. And we made an Italian dinner, and it was like a whole thing. And it was 2 different times we got together, and it was so lovely. And the dessert was this candy embedded in popcorn or like some other whatever. And I was like, what is this wizardry?
It's the future.
It's the future.
Yeah, I first experienced that idea, which is not unique, I'm sure. But like there was a movie theater in San Francisco that I went to that they had these, like you could dispense your own candy. And then I saw someone else just doing that in their popcorn, and my mind was blown. And I was like, what can I put in popcorn now? My go-to is Reese's Pieces, as I mentioned. Shout out E.T. But yeah, that's my favorite one. But you can put any candy in a popcorn.
Thank you for that permission. Do you have a favorite movie theater? Because I know you also go to a lot of like more historic movie theaters and stuff. Do you have a favorite one?
Yes, absolutely. The Vista Theater in Los Angeles is the best movie theater in the world for me, because it has the most legroom you'll ever experience in the world. And
as a tall person, I'm sure that's important for you.
Yeah, or just I mean, yes, but also like you go to like City Walk IMAX here, and it's great to see a giant screen, but you can't fucking walk. You can't go by people. Like you're tripping, you're falling. You're falling into the screen. The Vista, it now is owned by Quentin Tarantino, who renovated it during COVID when it shut down. Now it's back open, but the chairs were already pulled out to where the rows were super easy to get through. And now they play stuff, I think, only on film. It used to be they play whatever. So I'd see a lot of... used to live in that neighborhood too, so I would walk over there, and there's all these other things tied to it, right? Like, so I lived there when Movie Pass was a thing. RIP. And Vista was part of, I think everything was part of Movie Pass. So it was just free. I just walk there, go see stuff for free, be able to get out of the aisle if I needed to. Now they show more like, things on film. I just actually went there and saw the Goodfellas for, I don't know, the 10th time. And it's maybe my first time though in a theater that I'd seen it. So it was really cool to see like how it's like this uproarious laughter during these insane violent things that everyone knows they shouldn't be laughing at. And then also everyone gets quiet during like suspenseful scenes. Like it still plays. And they asked before the movie, like who hasn't seen this, and everyone had seen it, but everyone still like rapt attention. So that's the cool thing about cinema. And I think the Vista is probably the best theater in LA. And then to kind of go into this other thing about me being weird with theaters is my wife, God bless her, Julia. We've been doing a little bit of international travel the last few years. And I've gotten this habit where I'm like looking up the theaters that are around and like going to check them out. So we went to Amsterdam last year, and there's this theater there called the Tuchinski Theater that there's this whole run of them that were built kind of pre-World War II. Then World War II happens. A lot of them get destroyed. This one's still standing, but it's a movie theater that's designed to look like a stage theater kind of palace place. With they have like what's the seating on the side called, like balcony seating or
the boxes,
like wherever Abe Lincoln sat, you know?
Yeah, or the Phantom of the Opera's box. It's
Yeah.
like box seating.
Yeah, so they have like it's like so tall and it's so ornate. It's really beautiful if you look it up online. And there's also like this really fun like independent cinema movie theaters in Amsterdam. They really seem to like lean into like, we want you to stay after the movie and hang out and have a drink. Whereas like theaters here, there's no really any space to like hang around. They like want you to fucking leave because they gotta sell tickets, you know. So that was like a thing that I learned about while in Amsterdam.
You have seen so many more movies than I have, and
It's not a race. It's not a race.
I know. But I feel like everybody kind of has their different version of comfort movies. Do you have a few comfort movies, and what are they, and why?
For me, it's a lot of times like just feeling like you're in the hands of a really good storyteller and getting something new every time you watch it. So my comfort movies, like that I would rewatch a lot growing up, are maybe not like the most feel good things, you know? Might be controversial to call them feel good movies or comfort movies. So like the first movie that comes to, I guess there's like Disney movies that I would watch a lot, like The Lion King. I would watch a lot. Like, and I don't know if it's comfort is the word. I'm not like the most comfortable person anyway. So I'm usually looking for things that are uncomfortable or like challenge me, I guess, in a way that I'm like, why does this make me think this way or feel this way? So, but like when I found movies and like what a director does and what's a different way of telling certain stories, I would just watch Fight Club like every day, like every night.
Yep.
Every night. And you know, it's really healthy to do that.
This week on Channeling Hallmark, Fight Club.
Well, it is a love story, I will say.
Yeah.
It's about a man who has to get better through love. And yeah, I know that like those are the kind of things that I come back to. Like Goodfellas, like honestly, like that's like a comfort movie. Because you're in the hands of this incredible like storyteller and these incredible actors. And this time watching like Goodfellas, I was like, why do we like movies like that? I was like they like kind of challenge me in a different way. Like why, especially seeing with the crowd and everyone's laughing and like, I'm like, you guys, I don't think we should be laughing at this. This is really bad. These guys are not good.
All right. So if you have a stressful day and you get home and you're like, I want to watch a movie that's going to make me happy, what movie are you putting on?
What have I watched recently that I've been trying to rewatch? See, like my answers are not good.
Good is a subjective thing. I
Because
want to know what your answers are.
I just rewatched Inglourious Bastards, so that's feel good for me.
Yeah.
Like definitely these days. And it's also a movie about movies. It's really cool. They use the celluloid medium, so that's what I watched recently to feel good. I kind of revisit these movies that I have connections to because of they're just so well made. It's so insane. Like you guys know, like movies are hard. Television is hard. Movies are hard. To make something at all is insane. To like complete it at all, it's nuts. To make something that kind of works, a miracle. To make something that just hits time after time is what's better than a miracle. I don't know. It's popcorn and Reese's Pieces. It's like,
And E.T. apparently.
yeah.
So one of the most warm and fuzzy experiences I've had on set is actually with Mike Dris as our first AD. Dylan, you were actually our director. And Mike mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but we basically got a group of Star Wars nerds together and we're like, let's make a Star Wars movie. And it was the wildest. I was very stressed, but it was so much fun. And I feel like, we'll probably post it again on May the 4th because it was such a warm and fuzzy kind of time of being collaborative with a bunch of friends who all wish maybe someday we'll work on a real Star Wars film. But we got to make our own.
Yeah, it was good. It was good shit. When's the sequel coming out? When are we doing that?
Oh my God. I don't know if I can still move like that.
All right, so speaking of things that are warm and fuzzy, one thing that we do on this show is share something that we experienced recently that made us feel warm and fuzzy, gave us a little bit of optimism. And we always like to ask our guests if they had anything like that. So, Mike, do you have any hot cocoa that you want to share?
Yeah, this is a random one that, whatever. It is what it is. I get to decide whatever.
Yeah.
I've followed someone on Instagram, this cinematographer named Dean Cundy. Do you guys know the great Dean Cundy? Shot Jurassic Park. Just DP that I followed.
Yeah.
And he must be really bored because he followed me back. And I was like, "Oh, Dean, what's up? How you doing?"
Have you slid into his
Oh,
DMs
he
yet?
did shoot Jurassic Park. So Jurassic Park, Apollo 13, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh my gosh.
Hook, like all these things.
He
So,
shot Hook. Oh my. That's a very warm and fuzzy thing.
So you are followed by one of your heroes.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So, Dris, if people want to follow kind of your cinephile exploits, anything you are working on that you would like to plug, this is your chance to do it.
Oh, great. Well, first, thank you guys for having me over to your home.
Thanks for
and
thanks for
forcing this
coming.
microphone in my hand. So I am on Letterboxd at MPDRIS. Same thing on Instagram. Honestly, I should probably plug my LinkedIn. Just jump on there, throw me any jobs. Me and our mutual friends, John Hepe and Danny Clapp, we've also started a podcast. You'll be surprised to hear it's about movies.
What?
It's called The Filmographiles. We're in the process of recording. I need to learn how to edit them. And we're on episode 5 of our first series, which is about the films of Steven Soderbergh. And yeah, we're trying it out.
Where can people listen to it?
We're going to have a video component. So on YouTube, it should be on there. And then kind of just wherever you get podcasts, I think, hopefully. Once Dylan shows me how to do that. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a cool experience and learning a lot about what you sound and look like in front of the camera, which is not experience I've had a lot of. So it's been fun.
If you need an AD, call Mike Dris.
This is what I'm here for. Yes.
No, but truly, you are one of the best ADs I have ever worked with. You really love movies and you love to be efficient in the kindest and most graceful way possible. And I cannot recommend people more. If you need an AD, you call Mike Dris. He's got a LinkedIn. You can follow him.
Very sweet. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. And
Yeah, go watch Inglourious Bastards, guys.
Yeah. Go to the Vista. Go watch Inglourious Bastards at the Vista.
I mean, if it's playing, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that'd be
Man.
great. That was our interview with Mike Dris, and that was episode 18 of Channeling Hallmark. If you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And even if you didn't like it, maybe leave a comment. Let us know what you think. And we promise we'll try to do better next time.
Yeah, we can only get better if you comment and tell us where we can get better. We love constructive criticism.
So true.
Anyways, you can follow us all across social medias at Channeling Hallmark, and we're specifically on Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky. You can also follow each of us individually on Instagram at Keetin Markey and at DP Cashbaugh. And Dylan, you also have a letterbox, right?
I do have a letterbox where you can follow me at DP Cashbaugh and see my reviews of all of the movies that we watch, as well as a lot of movies that we don't even cover on this show, because oddly enough, I also watch movies that we don't talk about on this show.
Yeah, we don't just watch warm and fuzzy things.
That's very true. But we hope you all have a wonderful week, and don't forget to channel Hallmark in your life.
Stay cozy, y'all. Bye-bye.
Channeling Hallmark is an independently produced podcast and is neither sponsored nor sanctioned by Hallmark or any other entity. Thank you for listening.